The mysterious Aleutians are the cradle of the storms. On one side, warmed by the Japanese current. On the other, chilled by the cold Arctic currents coursing down through the Bering Sea. These differently temperatured bodies of water set into motion air masses that sweep from west to east and influence the weather of the whole northern hemisphere. Here is the now dying Valley of 10,000 Smokes. In 1912, a cataclysmic eruption destroyed all of its plant and animal life. I have explored this region with my party on land, sea, and air, all seasons of the year in 6 different expeditions. Fire-born monsters rise gracefully into the Alaskan sky, like this, Shishaldin, shaped like Fujiyama, the most beautiful volcano on Unimak Island. And further north on the Alaska Peninsula is the largest active crater in the world, Aniakchak, with its devastating eruption pits miles in area, sending steam and gas and ashes into the air. I made this great crater the scene of several years of exploration, and with my party descended to the very bottom of these steaming pits to discover new scientific secrets. These numerous craters furnish the reason for stark desolation such as this. There are only a few inhabitants on the Alaska Peninsula and Aleutian Islands, for this land is not ready for inhabitants yet. Great changes occur every so often. It is unstable and still in the making, and the day is far off when it will be permanently formed and beautiful. Drifting downstream with the current soon after they are born. Once they reach the waters of the Gulf of Alaska, they vanish completely, somewhere in the Pacific. No one knows where. In May, millions of full-grown salmon school together in the North Pacific to begin their great migration, known to Alaskans as the Salmon Run. Many of these millions find their way to the better-known fishing grounds of southeastern Alaska and British Columbia, but a still greater number travel northward to the Gulf of Alaska and the Bering Sea. Of the millions that travel northward each year, one thing is always certain. They never fail to appear first at a group of islands known as the Shumagans, situated near the middle of the Alaska Peninsula. The term millions is not exaggerated. For example, in 1932, the run of salmon that emerged from the deep sea near the Shumagans measured 12 miles wide and continued past a given point for 28 days. It seems strange that these salmon should come first to the Shumagan Islands instead of seeking the more direct way to the Bering Sea through the passages to the westward between the Aleutian Islands. But science offers a reason. At one time, the Alaska Peninsula was a group of islands, and the water passages between them were the shortest routes from the Pacific Ocean to the Bering Sea coastlines. For countless generations, the salmon are believed to have used these short passages. Volcanic eruptions have since filled in these passages, but the salmon have not had time to form a new habit and still persist in following the old instinctive routes. Finding themselves blocked by the solid dry land of the Alaska Peninsula, the salmon now turn westward. A new habit is teaching them to find their way into the Bering Sea through the passages between the Aleutian Islands. When the salmon which have evaded the fishermen finally enter the freshwater streams, the streams in which they were born, then one of the great epic struggles of nature begins. Day after day, week after week, for hundreds and even thousands of miles, they battle their way upstream against swift currents, seeking quiet waters where they may spawn. In the salt water of the ocean, these fish were in the finest of condition. Now in freshwater streams, they stop eating entirely, lose their beautiful silver color, take on brilliant hues of pink, red, and purple, and they are safe from fishermen's nets, for they are totally unfit for human consumption. Some of the streams are so shallow, they travel for days and weeks with their backs out of water. Their particular mission in the economy of creation is to see that their species is perpetuated, even at the cost of their own lives. Next year, their offspring will swim downstream and lose themselves in the ocean. But the adult salmon, now fighting against the swift current, will never return. For as soon as the spawning is done, they die. Self-preservation, proverbially the first law of nature, in this instance becomes the law of the preservation of the species. As they fight their way upstream, a grotesque physical change takes place. A peculiar overshot and underslung jaw with big teeth develops and grows longer day by day. These powerful jaws enable them to dig holes in the gravels and mud at spots in which they choose to lay their eggs. No longer are they able to feed. Their doom is sealed. Battered and worn, they rest occasionally under a river bank or in some quiet eddy before again attacking the rapids and falls and swift current ahead. Not anywhere, nor at their own seeming convenience, do they stop and spawn. A God-given instinct drives them on, and unerringly do they obey. If the salmon deposited their eggs at random on the bottom of the riverbeds where the riverbeds would freeze, the eggs would be destroyed. Ice crystals would pierce them like so many little pins. With the cunning of God-given instinct, they drive onward until they reach a spot such as this, where bubbling springs come up out of the mud and gravel. Instinct has taught them that water coming directly from a spring does not freeze in winter, and here the eggs will be safe. When the eggs are finally laid and cared for, the salmon swim a little distance from the nest and fan the water with their tail fins, causing a layer of mud to settle and completely hide the eggs from sight, thus securing them from enemies and serving as an incubator until they hatch out the following spring. Many never live to complete this inspiring work nature has given them. The battle upstream is too much. They die on the way. The last act of this great tragedy is when the spawned-out salmon lie on the riverbank, dying that their species might live. Then bears, seagulls, hawks, foxes, and other carrion-eating creatures flock to the scene, for them the feast of the year, and soon dispose of the spawned-out salmon. Seward thought he had bought a land of gold. He had. But it was really these silver millions that made Alaska so valuable to America and the world. Each year, from February to May, hundreds of men leave Pacific Coast ports and soon spread out on the coastlines of Alaska, busily preparing for the salmon run that is to come. For it is during these great runs the salmon are caught by the fishermen. As soon as melting snow and ice permit, salmon traps such as this one are driven at strategic points, at points where the salmon have been most bountiful in previous years. These salmon traps, consisting of a long double row of piles which stretch out from the land and terminate in another group, box-like in arrangement, are the most effective and economical means of catching large numbers of fish at one time. Between the piles, strong nets are fixed. Then a matter of waiting until exciting words flash by radio from the Shumagon Islands. The salmon are ready. The whole country swings into action. All of Alaska becomes salmon conscious, and rightfully, for it means work for over 21,000 men. Fast tenders are dispatched from the canneries to the traps which become filled suddenly with wriggling silver flashes by the thousand as if by magic.